As promised, today's all about fitting the left rear corner. It's in pretty good shape, just a bit of dirt and sand stuck to it. With no brake drum to deal with, it should be pretty easy to get it back on the bike quickly. This is the underside of the left-hand rear swing arm. There's a bit of dirt, I think it's only a build-up of sand and grit around that flange there. I'm just about to knock the spider at the front there out, just using that 21mm socket and an extension to get up inside there, and I'll give it a hit with that copper hammer and it'll pop out easy. I think this is flaky paint. It might be runs, I'm not sure. But, so that's the drive shaft cleaned up and a bit of paint on it as well. Those bits are ready to go back on. I just need to polish up some bolts. This is the left rear being assembled. First thing I've got to do is I've marked the 12 o'clock position here where that yoke was like this, horizontal. I've lined the seam up in the boot there, and now I've just got to plug this yoke in so that that centre section is horizontal. Grease up that telescopic spline there with a bit of my copper grease. Slip it in and see what it looks like. So that's my 12 o'clock mark in blue there, lined up. This is part of the top yoke. This is the boot seam, all set roughly to 12 o'clock. And that's the yoke horizontal across here. So that's in phase, ready for the hub to go on. I've just been final assembling this corner, and I noticed that the shocker platform height adjustment was set to the lowest level, and I have rotated this around. It doesn't go 180 degrees, it goes nearly 180 degrees. 4 clicks or something brings it to the highest platform height, which compresses the spring more, which raises the ride height of the bike. It carries more load. On the setting it was, the wheels would have been angled in at the top like that. With the ride height it brought up, with the carrying the more weight, and I'm a heavy bastard, I want the wheels standing vertical. By having a bit of more preload in the springs, and this is what this adjuster here does, I've set that to the highest level because I'm going to be about the heaviest rider these bikes were ever designed for. In fact, I'm heavier than what the bikes were designed for. I'm about as heavy as what the bikes were designed for, plus the load on the carry rack. When I'm on it, the wheels stand up straight. If somebody else sits on the rack while I'm riding, the wheels pull in again at the top. I've got this one set to the highest platform, and I'll do that to the other side. I noticed it's also set on the lowest platform height. And just to finish off today, I haven't tightened any of these bolts. That's the front mount. You can see the copper grease I'm using. I know on one of my bikes those bolts had seized inside the bushings. I don't want that to happen. Bit of copper grease through there, bit of copper grease on the threads. So, and these haven't been tightened, so they're only finger tight. You can see I've polished them up, they come up nice. That's got copper grease in it. Bottom of the shock. In adjusting this platform, the shock body here turns in relation to the top of the shock. So when I was mounting this shock back in after I'd adjusted it, because I adjusted it out on the bench, the bottom had turned in relation to the top, so I had to sort of turn it back, and you're working against the compression of the spring in turning that back, but it comes back. Also, this adjustable platform section could be full of crap underneath it. It needs to be freed up so that it can rotate on the barrel of the shock absorber. I haven't got this main nut tight. It needs the cotter pin in. I think I might be missing an O-ring between the centre hub and this ring. It's not there. It's not really necessary on this in this location. If I come across it, I'll be putting it in. That's the cotter pin in, the nut torqued up. Transmission rolls over. I've got these bolts all tight now. That corner's done. I need to go and change the platform on the other side. So I can tick off another corner. I've got 2 fronts to go. Get out to your shed and have some fun.